Greetings. Let's say we off air. Oh, we on air. Hold on. Get this thing going here. Okay, we got the chat. Let's just say off air. I think we live. Just wait for a couple people to come in. We could do it a little different this week. We're gonna use a method where actually you can actually come in live to ask a question in addition to chat. And I'm also gonna have Brother Jack with me this evening. Let me just hit him up. So we're just gonna wait. So there's people coming in. We're just gonna wait a few minutes. And let me just get a hold of him real quick. And we'll go from there. You know, it says off air on the bottom. Obviously, it's got to be live. Okay, yeah, I'm just checking on my channel, make sure. Just want to make sure I got this right. Oh, okay, yeah, that's live. Just checking the picture. All right. Cool. All right, let me send Brother Jack the invite. As we wait for more. So there's about 8 of us here right now. It's going to give it another minute or two. And I will get started. Thank Jack the link. All right. We're going to get started in a few minutes. Jack should be here momentarily. All right, so I'm gonna do. We're gonna do this method because I plan also soon down the road to bring on some individual guests, and you know, even some of the people we had on in the past, possibly for the radio show. Try to get some of them on live here and there. I'm gonna bring Brother Jack in shortly because this is kind of his field too. Actually, I'll be bringing Jack on with me a lot regularly, and I'll, you know, start bringing some people on here and there. So hold on 1 second, just checking stuff. Okay. All right. I'm just adjusting the settings. My first time using this control room thing, so bear with me. Give me a minute. Just kind of getting new with it. All right. I think we good. If one person could just so I know the picture quality and sound. Avatar is there. There you go. You good. All right. So now I can. Your sound? You got your sound on?
Oh, yeah, it should be on.
Yeah, you're good. All right. Again, if somebody listening, can they just type in the chat, good, if the I just want to make sure the picture and the sound quality is good. I checked it. It seems to be good. It seems to be good on my end, but can somebody just confirm I know there's 8 people in there. Could somebody type in good just so we know that the sound is good? Sup, Playboy? Anybody typing good? Can somebody? Sure. What's going on here?
Sup, player?
I'm trying to figure out why. Was the chat working? Second. Sure, somebody. I got the chat on, but just trying to get some of the kinks out there, brother. I'm gonna test something. Sure, it's good. I may test. If anybody is watching, can they please type in the chat? And just type in good for pick and sound quality. I just want to make sure the chat is working. Can somebody just type in? Just typing in. Usually people I don't know if the chat is working. I just type something in. It's working.
Yeah, it's on.
Is it just?
Why?
I wonder if it's because. Hold on.
I mean, you were in the room. That's like you're here.
I wonder why it's doing that. It's got to be other people can't chat. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can figure this out. I'm not sure why. Jack, can you type in?
Yeah, hold on. Let's see, man.
Yeah, so it looks like people can't type in, but I got the chat up. I'm trying to figure out why it's not.
I'm typing on YouTube and I'm typing on the Hangouts. Let's see.
Not sure why. I don't think people can type in. Shit. We gotta figure this out. Yeah, but you might be able to because you're in the room. It's got to be something on the settings. Let me see something. Let me try this in the control. Hold on.
Joy, say hi.
Hi.
Say hi, Uncle.
What's up?
Hi.
What's up? Something why people can't chat is because they ain't in the room, but they should be able to still just chat.
Hi, Echo.
What's up?
What you doing?
What you
What
doing?
you doing?
What you doing?
I hope.
Let's sit down, man.
Something going on. I think it's only if you're in the room, but I don't think everybody watching is able to chat because they would have chatted. So it's gotta be something on the fucking settings.
Let me hop back out. Let me hop back out and hop back in.
Yeah. Hop back out and just go on to the live feed and see if you could chat. All right, hold on, people. We testing something. Trying to figure out why the viewers can't chat. I must have something fucked up on the settings. Bear with me. I'm gonna try. Oh, let's see. Well, communication speakers save. No, ain't that? Yeah, I think it's only if you're in the room. Something not right with the setting. Hold on. Trying to figure this thing out. I think that's what it is. Let me see something. Checking some people. Bear with me here. I'm just saying. what it looks like. You can't chat?
I'll put that.
Jack.
What's up? I can chat. Yeah, I can chat.
Oh, I see. I can see it here, but how come I can't see it on the screen here? I see it now. I see it on
It's
the
on
phone.
the screen now.
All right, I'll look into it. All right, I'll turn the volume down on this. At least I can see it on here. All right. Oh, I see. I can see it here, but how come I can't see it on the screen here? I see it now. All right. I'll have to use.
So, you see me?
I don't know why it's not showing on here though. That's weird. All right.
You saw it?
All right. I'll use this. I'll figure out. Maybe I got it off on the settings, so this way I don't cancel. I'll just use the phone. At least I can see it.
All right.
All right, peace, people. I'll figure out that next time around. At least I can see it on here. All right. All right, so sounds good. All right, cool. We're going to go ahead and get started. All right, so what I wanted to kind of talk about for a little bit this evening, obviously, you know, we ain't going to be able to get all this in one setting because there's a lot. I know we've talked a little bit about it in the past in previous shows, but I want to kind of talk about the Voudon pantheon in relation to using it on the left-hand path. And I know, Jack, you can get some experience on this, obviously growing up around the culture to an extent. So I kind of want to, hold on one second. Let me see if I can pull this up here. Still trying to fuck with this. Let's see if it does it. Okay. All right. But yeah, so I want to elaborate on, you know, the nations of you know, the Lohas. We're going to focus mainly on the Petro, the Rada, and the Congos tonight, and talk a little bit about some of the, you know, the archetypes or the deities. Know this also, there's different traditions of this. I just want to be clear on this because, for an example, the Dominicans, they have their own version of it called the 21 divisions, which is pretty much similar to the aspect of what we know as, you know, Voudon from West Africa, but they kind of adjusted it to their culture. Puerto Ricans even have their own version of the Voudon system, etc. What's the matter? Come here, what's the matter? Oh, you good? Okay. So know there's different systems, all right? Depending on how you decide to work with them. We're going to focus on the ones that have their authenticity from West Africa. Familiar in this country either through what we know as, you know, Haitian Voudon, West African Voudon, also practiced here in the West. You know, in the voodoo tradition, which some might be familiar with, also out of New Orleans. So I want to go into a little bit about that. What I do want to start with, you hear that term nations. What are the nations in this particular pantheon? So, Jack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through that real quick. Again, peace to everybody that came in the room. I think what I did was turn off the chat on there. I'll fix that next time, but I can see it on my phone. What I could do is when we get to the questions, if somebody wants to come in live, I can send you an invite. So if somebody wants to come in a little bit, we can bring some people in. But let's go briefly. The nations, the pantheon of Voudon, and I'm going to use some of the excerpts. There's two books that give you the basic breakdown. I use a lot of work from this tradition, the Voodoo Hoodoo tradition. It's something I've worked with for years. The Voodoo Hoodoo spell book, and the author of this book is Denise Alvarado. and the Haitian Voodoo Handbook. Not too crazy about this one. This one's by Kinaz Filan. There's an influence in there with religion and Santeria. It's okay. I mean, there's some stuff you can create work with. Not a huge fan of that one, but there's some key points in there. The Voodoo Hoodoo is a little bit more flexible. The reason why I like the Voodoo Hoodoo aspect of it, you got more leadway to create, play around. You're not really confined or restricted to one particular system. So I wanted to point that out. So real quick, I'm gonna go through the nations. What you hear this term, what are the nations, all right? The pantheon of voodoo spirits is organized according to nations and more formally in Haitian voodoo according to rites. Two of the major nations are the Rada and the Petro. We're going to focus on them in the Congo, all right? Some mistakenly refer to the Rada Loa as good and the Petro Loa as evil. This is misleading. The Rada Loa can be used to make malevolent magic, while the Petro Loa can heal and do beneficial workings, all right? They are more accurately referred to as cool and hot, respectively. You hear this term. You will find that the contemporary hoodoo has little, if anything, to do with the voodoo nations. And that's why I was talking about the flexibility. It is for the sake of being thorough with regards to the religious aspects of the New Orleans voodoo that we have provided this information. All right. So, and I don't know, and Jack, if you got anything, just feel free to interject. Let's talk.
Well, I'll say real quick, what I think you're saying is accurate, because when I took that trip to New Orleans, I had a chance to go into one of these places and see how they move, and it's not, it's totally different. It's connected, but it's different as far as the hoodoo aspect. They kind of like create, they make their own thing. It's something creative, which is going there. I saw the power of it, and it's real. It works. So yeah, well, you can continue.
Right. And the thing that's important here is one thing I want to make clear. Okay, there's no such thing as good or bad. And when you're working with this pantheon, especially, even though you'll have people that tell you, and usually it's the ones that may not be too educated on this, they'll say, don't mess with, with the Petro Aloha, the fiery ones, because they're aggressive and they can cause problems, blah, 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 stick with the Rada Alohas, they're lighter, etc. You have to get out of that way of thinking when working with this pantheon, because that'll mess you up in itself with that type of mindset. Especially on this path, something that we talk about a lot. On the left-hand path, working with black magic, etc. All energies serve a purpose. They all work in unison and harmony with each other. Very much so, even more probably on this path than any other path. So you never approach your work with the mindset as if, there's good and there's bad. Again, you always hear me use the term that a black magician has to know how to work with the energies at particular times for particular reasons. And discipline is knowing how to utilize them and when, where, and how. So you don't separate the two here. So I want to be clear on that, even though they break them down into nations or classifications or categories, okay? So, yeah. All right. So real quick, let's talk about the Rada Alohas first, right? We're getting into some basics. They are the major family of Alohas. The Rada Alohas consist of older, beneficent spirits who can be directly traced to Dahomean voodoo on West Africa. Rada Alohas are guardians of morals and principles and related to Africa, whereas Petro Alohas are connected to the New World. According to Milo Regaud, and the Rada Alohas include, this is a partial list, right? Agwe, Atiban Legba, meaning tree of justice and Fan, Loco, Aizan, Dambalawido, Aidoido, Matrice, Grand, Urzuli, we're going to get into that in Urzuli Frida, La Serene, and Jack, if I'm butchering any of these, correct me, man. La Baline, Marasa, Maitre, Kalfu, Master of the Crossroads, Baron Lacroix, Baron Samdi, Maman Brigette. We've worked with some of these. We actually did a whole ritual with the Voudon pantheons of the crossroad, bringing Baron LaCroix through, saluting the dead is a one of the older rites, or one of the more powerful rituals one can do. I don't know if you remember that ritual. Your thoughts on? I don't know if you want to touch on that a little bit. The saluting the dead. I don't know if you remember when we did that. I don't know how long ago was that. That was about, I'm gonna say, I don't know, a year and some change, maybe somewhere in that area.
I remember it got really hot. It got more. The only thing I said was close to that was when we worked with what was the other one? I just lost the name, but I guess there's a reason for that. But I just know that it got really hot in there. I could feel the energy. It was like we were sweating our balls off, man. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, the energy got pretty intense in that one. And again, understand working with these archetypes. We talk about a lot of different archetypes. We talk about, ancient Egypt, the Ifa, working with, this is a little bit different. One of those aspects like Brother Jack was just talking about, the intensity of it. You understand? And again, I would go into this. If you choose this is an option for you on this path, I would definitely go into this, concentrated, focused. Don't take this for, don't take this for a, I don't want to use the word joke, but don't take this half-assed, because
you can't, man, because you gotta understand you're working with spiritual energy that created the first Black Republic, so they didn't play no games, man. It was fierceness, and I'm starting to feel the energy right now from it, but it's like it's fierceness. Like, if you're not connected to it, well, it's not so much connected, but if it's not calling you to deal with it, don't deal with it, because you got to take it serious, because it will affect change. It's very powerful. So yeah,
and that's true. The reason for that is, again, when we talk about aspects and working with black magic or working with the occult. We say that in a sense, just so people are clear, when we talk about causing mental conflict, is the word I kind of want to use here. When you're accessing certain energies that maybe subconsciously you're not ready for, it can kind of bring a lot of stuff to the surface. And sometimes when you're not ready to deal with that energy, it can become overwhelming. And this is the aspect we talk about, or the dangers. And again, not saying this to spook people out. But we say this in regards, this is where people sometimes, start hearing voices or walkings, start to kind of control or overtake their personalities, because you do open, certain, for lack of a better word, connections with these spirits. And you want to make sure you're doing it right. Consistency too. I want to make this clear. Consistency is very important here. Consistency to me is important in all the work you do. But as I've said earlier, with a few other things in regard to this path, you want to be very consistent with this. What do I mean by that? Don't start setting up an altar and doing stuff with these archetypes and then just stop. I've seen it just kind of fuck people's spaces up, kind of cause that, mental conflict. You understand what I'm saying? So stay consistent. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'll tell you straight up, don't find out the hard way, because I've seen people not come back from this. And again, it's not being said to just put fear in people, but it is being said in reference to taking it serious. All right. So that was the brief list of the Rada Lohas, right? Some Lohas, such as Erzili, have both Rada and Petro manifestations, meaning fiery, just like any of the other.
It's Ezra Lee, Mike.
Say it again. Ezra
Lee. Ezra Lee.
My French is butchered. Pronounce it again right here.
Ezra Lee.
Ezra Lee. All right.
Yeah.
Zuli or Ezra Lee? So the R is silent.
My bad. Go ahead.
I'm saying the R is silent then.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I'm butchering it. But okay. Their traditional color is white, all right, as opposed to specific colors of individual loas. They are associated with the element air. There are also loas classified in various combinations with other nations such as Rada Dahomey, i.e. Elegba, Atiban, Sobo, Aizan, Erzali, Frida, Rada, etc. That's just the minor list. We're going to go through what some of them represent, aspects you can work with them. Just like any other pantheon, I want to be clear with this with archetypes. They all serve a certain purpose. If you're working with these energies, don't mix them with energies that are not similar. Just want to be clear on that. I also want to before we go into the patroloas, I also want to understand the ancestral aspect of this is very important. The ancestral altar is also key and foundation in this path, just like it is in any other path. And you know me, I've always said from day one, I'm a firm supporter of having an ancestral altar as your foundation. You should always have that. You should always work with that consistently. Some aspect of ancestral worship connecting with your blood and your DNA. You can't negate that. I don't care. I mean, there might be other people out there that have a difference of opinion on that. As far as your experience, Jack, we'll get into it. There's a section in here on setting up your ancestral altar. The importance of the ancestors in connection with working, with the nations of the Lohas. What's your thoughts on that? Mandatory, not so?
Well, I think it depends on, what do you feel like you need? Me personally, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I just have like a natural connection to it. So it's like, this is different, man. Like I just speak Creole and talk to them. They're gonna talk to me back. So it's different. Right. But it all depends. We do the traditional way is to have an altar set up, depending on who you want to work with specifically,
right?
Or who you feel connected to. Yeah.
Okay. So again, and again, that's why I brought, I figured have Jack speak on some of it. So again, the key is, like you said, go with what you need. I've always found the groundwork, again, not just in this path, even on the left-hand path when doing work with your personal demon, etc. The foundation is always the bloodline ancestors. You should always have something there, honoring them, working with them. There is a connection as you do the work. All right, let's get into the Patrolohas real quick. I've also I mentioned earlier the 21 divisions and the Dominican aspect of it, which is their 21 nations or aspect of it. As far as some of the archetypes in there that they have synchronized with it might be different names. Like I've done work with Papa Candelo, and that's a powerful archetype. So they have their own synchronized versions of it. Now, keep in mind the effectiveness and how to be successful and work with them is, even though the imagery, the name might be a little bit different, but it's the energy and what's connected to it that's the important aspect you connect with and work with. Because, excuse me, I'm bringing this up because I have found success, for an example, with Papa Candelo and the 21 divisions of Dominican, what they call Dominican voodoo. I've found success with that, and that goes into the whole pantheon of San Miguel and Aisa and that whole, for those that are familiar with it. And as I said earlier, even in what they call Puerto Rican voodoo, they have their names, the way they've synchronized their deities. But again, sometimes we get caught up in just the name aspect of it, because obviously the names are going to change in different traditions, different cultures, different languages. Those names are going to change. But you need to focus on, when you're doing this work, what they represent, what they symbolize, and what doors and work you can succeed
in doing that. Jack, anything you want to add before we go to the petrol?
No, I'm all set. You're hitting on point. So.
All right, cool. All right, the Petro Lohas are generally the more fiery, occasionally aggressive, and warlike Lohas, assumed to have originated in Haiti under the unforgiving conditions of slavery. Their rites feature whip cracking, whistles, ignited gunpowder. In addition, Petro drum beats are swifter and more syncopated than the Rada rhythms, and we've experienced this playing the drums. That was one of the reasons when we were playing them rhythms at the particular ritual we did. Understand the purpose of the drum and ritual. I'm gonna tell you straight up. The drum, the rhythms, the patterns, the vibrations, it all creates a heightened sense of intensity. There are certain rhythms played, as it said there, for particular Lohas, and this is how certain individuals are able, and again, I'm just going to use terminology that people are familiar with. This is how individuals are able to lock in and be mounted, or I hate to use the term possessed, by a particular spirit. All that, there's a method that's done to attain that for certain individuals that are connected. And this is why the drum is so important in working these rituals, and we use the drum, for all of those rituals. We definitely do, and it's very important to understand that. So let's go through some of the Petros. They're generally some of the rites are an integral part of the Voodoo initiation ceremony, the kanzo, the rite by which servitors are initiated as priests and priestesses, Hungans and Mabos. Urzili Dantor is considered the mother of the Petro nation and is one of the most important Petro Lohas. Other Petro Lohas include some of these on the list. And you're going to hear, this is important to understand, you're going to hear some names you would also hear in Ifa, in the Ifa traditions, okay? Now, we'll talk about that in a minute. And I want to be clear on that, because remember, when you're hearing some of these Ifa/Santeria traditions that came later, remember, a lot of them came out of these systems that predated it. All right, so it's very important to understand. I want to be clear on that, because some of the ones that you're going to hear, you might be familiar with them if you're familiar with Santeria Ifa, some of the pronunciations of them. Ogun Shango, Petro Nago, Lemba File Sabri, Nago Petro, Manman Pemba, Dambala, La Flambu, Trace, I might be butchering this one, Jack. You might want to help me with this one. Trace Carrefour, the Three Crossroads, which that's what I know it as. Grande Brigade, Captain Zombie, Jean Zombie, Urzili Toro, the Bull, which I know it as. Urzili Gay Rouge, the Red Eye, if I'm butchering these. Those are just some of the main Petros. Now, you hear Ogun, right? The very first one, all right? Ogun in any of these traditions, whether you go to modern day, quote unquote, Santeria, Ifa, whether you go to Palo, in the aspect of Zarabanda and Palo Manto, it's always a fiery, aggressive warrior type of spirit, okay? It's a road clearing. You can do work with Ogun in this path to clear shit up. And if you really want to clear shit you got wrong with yourself, if you're trying to correct shit that you're trying to fix about yourself, any of these Petro Lohas, depending on what you're specifically working with, can assist and help with that, all right? So that's just some of the partial list. Then we're going to get into some of the
clear that shit right up, man. Clear it up like a cold.
Say it again.
I said, clear that shit up like a cold, brother.
It's straight fire, and the Petros are good because when
a lot of people will ask, like, what are good road clearing archetypes? I don't really suggest those to anybody unless I feel like, and again, it's not like I'm judging. It's just you don't want to throw that at somebody and they're not ready to deal with it because, excuse me, what you said, the intensity of it. So that's just not something you don't want to play around with that. But they definitely are very effective for road clearing is the best way I can describe it.
You gotta understand too, is like that Congo spirit warriors, man, like aggressive warriors, like don't play.
No.
So not passive about that.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so let's go. We're going to go into the Congo Lohas real quick. The Congo Lohas are thought to descend from the Lemba, an ethnic group in southern Africa who claim a common descendant belonging to the ancient Jews. The entire northern area of Haiti is especially influenced by Congo practice. Congo spirits are associated with the element water and include, but are not limited to, the following spirits. Simbe Delu, did I say that right or I butchered that? I'm not sure. Grande Aluba, I know I'm familiar with that one. Kanga Lemba Zapu. Senegal, which you actually get the word Senegal from in Africa, actually. That's actually named after a deity, which some people might or may not be aware of. Man Inan, Laoka, which is Congo Legba. Manman, Penba, or also, which I know is Congo Petra. And again, some of the names, again, depending on the traditions, notice how you'll see different titles. Some of them actually are synchronized with working with the same type of energy, but depending on what culture it's coming from, again, you're going to see sometimes the names changed. All right. So those are the Congos. Now, I personally, for a while now, have been working with Congo spirits. Okay. Congo spirits, I particularly have a personal Congo spirit that I've been working with now, I'm going to say for over 15 years. The best thing I can say and describe when that spirit mounts or possesses, because when you get submerged in it, you don't really have complete recollection of it. You do. It's like you're aware of what's going on, but the power you feel when it first starts to come on, I always describe it as if I feel like I could take my finger and pick somebody up with it. That's how raw, the energy feels like it. It's just, I mean, I'm trying to put it into words. I don't know how you do it, but it's, hey, what's up, buddy? Trying to explain something you experience personal like that is tough. Other people that see it or witness it tend to have a better perspective on it because, as I say, when it happens, and it's happened to me a bunch of times, I know, we've been in gatherings together, myself and Jack and others, and I know it's happened, and like you feel like you can go through cement walls, literally. You don't feel like anything can harm you, but I do know the aspect of that particular spirit is protective of children. And I know when that spirit comes through, one thing I do remember clearly, it senses pedophiles. I can't explain to you why, but it senses pedophiles. And if I'm in a room, I can sense people in the room that have harmed children. I don't know, the best way to explain that, but with those spirits, there's certain gifts that come with those spirits, and just the power and the energy of it. And if we find a way where we're able to regularly access that, because that's not something you could access, just being anywhere. Your thoughts, Jack, on let's talk a little bit about Congo spirits, because I know we've worked with them and some others that are not here. Actually, I think Seth Athena is here too. He's been in some of them gatherings. I think I saw him in here somewhere. Your thoughts on the Congo? Can you hear me, or did I mute you? Did I mute you?
I'm sorry, bro. I'm right here.
Did you hear me?
I hear the last thing you said, something with my son, but what was the last thing you said?
No, I was saying your thoughts on the Congo spirits. I think you got muted.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly what I was thinking about what you were saying, but it's like into this, man. I was thinking about what it'd be like into like imagine drinking 100 Red Bulls. You know what I mean? Like when that spirit comes to, and it's funny for me is like I have my Congo spirit, and when we do drum spirit, it always comes out. I used to fight it a lot initially because I used to be scared, but once I realized okay, it's gonna help me. Like the first time that spirit came through, man, like my muscles all tightened up and I feel like just wanted to flip a table. I was just angry. I was just vicious. And I'm like, and I had to cool myself down. But I just know like when it's talking to me, my Congo spirit shows me more of like how to move. It's like I'm like it shows me who my enemies are, how to move and how to attack certain things. So very powerful.
True indeed. I remember one incident that stands out to me. I'm not sure I think you were at that one. I don't know if you remember when Madrina it was a gathering on North Miami Beach. I don't know if you remember. We all went as a group. I think you were there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And it was on North Miami Beach. It was somebody she knew, and it was a party for the Igon Congo spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember the dude. He started when his spirit came. Congo started to crawl on the floor like a snake. I don't know if you were at that one. I can't remember. But the thing that stood out when a lot of them Congo spirits started to come down, I remember they had all the lights that were in the ceiling. They just all started to pop, and the powder shot. It was crazy. They just from the energy that everybody generated as a group. When we talk about the intensity, the heat, and you literally use that term electricity. You can generate that power, and I remember that was I'm going back a while, and that was probably like my first awestruck. I mean, it doesn't take it takes a lot to get me to be awestruck. But I remember when all the lights just started busting. I know it sounds crazy and shit, but I remember just standing there like, what the fuck. But then I realized, I said to myself, all right, that's the capability that we have to generate that power. Now, where does that energy come from? When you talk about getting into the core essence and energy of an individual, right? And the energy that individual can generate, or the power from that energy, you understand? It's real. And again, it's only real to those that have experienced it. I also remember working with them Congo spirits with my godfather, Javier. I remember him taking me in, and this is before I used to be able to have control of it, taking me into his throne room for Zalabanda. And I remember him giving me some liquid, and that's it. And then I just remember waking up outside and recollected the shit afterwards. And I remember that hot, burning feeling that you were talking about. I mean, I remember so hot, I can't even describe it like hot. It's not like, it's not like hot fire, it's beyond
like you're burning up inside. Just what the fuck? You're like, what the hell's going on, man? But it's serious.
True.
It's serious.
True indeed.
And the thing about this too is, that's power of just one person. But let's say if you had a whole group of people using all that power at the same time, like what could happen, So that's why, I feel that's why Haiti was so great, because they put that power into use in the right aspect for their benefit. If you think about it, it's the same thing, we do right now to achieve our goals. Working the left-hand path is like they were doing the same thing too. So it's yeah, I kind of look at it the about achieving their goal, but their goal was just freedom, and we're trying to achieve freedom within ourselves.
Right.
So it's like the same thing.
That's crazy, yeah. And we've talked about that in the past. I mean, but you know what? It's just like everything else. when individuals' personal greed kicks in, it just seems to be something that happens everywhere you go on the planet. Like you said, if it would have been used on a level, unification wise for the country itself, things obviously could have been a lot different. But we could apply that same scenario right here in America, because there's people that work these spiritual systems and they're hustlers, they're con artists. They use, they manipulate people. And again, I talked about this a few weeks back. I mean, I constantly get emails, on the regular, about people wanting to get scratched in Palo and wanting to go into some of these spiritual traditions. And I want to make this clear, especially with Palo, for an example, which is different than this, but I'm just bringing it up because it's something that we've, been discussing or came up here. As I said before, you can't just voluntarily get scratched in Palo. That's not how it works. Okay. You have to be what we call the term marked. Something has to come through by some method of divination, or if you're ever at a gathering, when one of the Congo spirits come down, they will usually mark an individual. How do they mark an individual? They will draw symbols of that particular Congo spirit on your body, on your back, on your arm, whatever it is. You will be marked. You will be known. It's not something you just want to voluntarily do, because it could be something detrimental for you if not needed. You understand? So be careful with that, because I still get emails on that all the time, and I don't suggest people just voluntarily do it. Now, why I say be careful is because you will go to some idiots if they see you're desperate, and they will charge your ass an arm and a leg and rip you off and tell you, yeah, you can do it, just so they can get the money. And they don't give a fuck about you, your spirituality, your well-being. You know what I'm saying? We know this firsthand. They will take you to the cleaners if you fall for the okie doke. So don't, the best way this is where I refer to people in regards to that, and what I would tell them: go to some gatherings where they have gatherings for the Congo spirits, and just participate in the gathering. And if something comes through, you'll know whether it's something you need to work to. But if you go to, a Palo priest or priestess, and they see you're desperate and they're a straight up hustler, they're going to take you to the fucking cleaners. I'm going to tell you that straight up. They'll tell you, yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. And couples of thousands of dollars later, you'll realize that you made a huge fucking mistake. Okay. All right. So the last thing I want to finish here with is the Gede Lo. What are the Gede? The Gedes are families of the Lohas in different systems. Although they are included in the section, there are some of the Voodoo nations that we just mentioned. They are not considered a nation. Rather, they are a family of Lohas. All right. The Gede are the spirits of the dead. They are traditionally led by the barons, Lacroix, Samedi, Simitri, Criminel, and Maman Brigette, which is Baron Samedi's wife. Though these classic Gede spirits are included among the Rada Lohas, the Gede are loud, rude, crass, sexual, and a lot of fun. Their traditional colors are black, purple, and white. And we worked purple and black was what we decorated the altar. And I think we put the video up of that, if I'm not mistaken. Well, we captured pieces of it. We put those videos up. Colors, scarf, setting up altars. Colors, implements are very critical also in working with these particular deities in these pantheons. All right. So let's talk a little bit about now what I also want to do. I'm gonna go back through the chat. I still gotta figure out why the fuck I can't see it up here, man. It just doesn't make no sense, man. I'm just looking at some of the stuff in the chat on the phone here. If anybody, you can actually type in if anybody chooses to, and they want to come in and add something to this, I can send you a link and bring you in. All right, but anyway, so let's go through again, because we're not going to be able to go through all this. A to Z. Let's go through. Some of the key ones here. Let's talk a little bit about Baron Samedi. Let's go through a little bit with that first. Baron Samedi is the law of the dead, along with the numerous other incarnations. Baron Simitri, Baron Lacroix, and Baron Criminal. He is the ultimate suave and sophisticated spirit of death, usually depicted with a black top hat, black tuxedo, dark glasses, cotton plugs in the nostrils as to resemble a corpse, dressed and prepared for burial in Haitian style. Now, also keep in mind, we talked a little bit about this in the past. If you look at the way a worshipful master dresses in the lodge in the East, he actually looks or is similarly dressed to Baron Samedi, with the top hat, the gloves, the tuxedo. And also to understand, for an example, Freemasonry, which that's kind of opening up a whole nother topic. Freemasonry practiced in the Caribbean and Africa is totally different than the way it's practiced over here. There is a lot of occult incorporated in it, as opposed to where it's very religious, or there's a lot of religiosity to it here in the United States or in the West. It's more, Bible-based, etc. So the thing to understand is there's synchronization. So pay attention. When I say synchronization, there's a connection to other things you might be familiar with, because I don't know if anybody ever really asked the question, and on the surface, where does that attire come from? In the lodge, where a lot of these lodges wear the traditional black tuxedo, and the worshipful master that sits in the East usually wears that top hat. Everything that was just described, pretty much right there. So there's a connection to that, is what I was trying to get at. All right. He also has a white skull-like face, talks through his nose, and tells crude but funny jokes. He is known for disruption, obscenity, debauchery, and for having a particular fondness for tobacco and rum, as well as being the all-knowing Loa of death. He is a sexual Loa, frequently represented by phallic symbols. He is the head of the Gede family of Lohas and married to Loa Maman Brigette. Baron Samedi stands at the crossroads where the souls of humans pass their way. Guinea. Baron is a protector of children and is petitioned for sick children. He has authority over zombies and decides whether or not people can be changed into animals. Since Baron Samedi is the Lord of Death, he is the last resort for healing, because he is able to decide whether to allow the dying to cross over or allow them to recover. All right. So you see the shit you're working with, and that's just Baron Samedi. You see working with crossroad deities of the dead. The best way I can describe it, it's serious business, and we don't talk a lot about it on the show, because I would never want to mislead anybody in the wrong way, or encourage them to do something that they were not familiar with. So I would tell you, be very familiar before setting out to do this work, because when petitioning these spirits, again, as I mentioned earlier, consistency is the key. If you're not going to be consistent, I would highly recommend you don't bother with it. It's the best way I can put it. I wouldn't even sugarcoat it or bullshit you, because of the intensity. And we have done, specifically with the Barons, we have done work with that, and we've seen the immediate results. Now, this is another good path, okay? When we talk about getting results, Uh, getting them rapid, getting them quick, but also expect to give something back. Now, that what I mean by expect to give something back, I can't tell you exactly what that is because it's going to vary from individual to individual. That's why. But prepare. Remember, nothing is free. You understand? Nothing is free in life. Okay, so if you think you're just going to do a little something and get all the rewards, no, there's work. There's consistency in dealing with this, all right? Okay, I also want to talk about Dambala we do because there's a similarity here when we talk about a pep, right? When we talk about chaos, when we talk about tapping into that primordial energy, you're going to find there's a lot. Now, there's a lot connected to this. You'll see Dambala we do is depicted, you'll see him as a serpent god and is closely associated with snakes. Dambala is the wise and loving father of all the Lohas, and along with his wife, Aida, is the Loha of creation, one of the most important and popular of all the Lohas. He is both a member of the Rada family and the root Loha. Dambala's koa is white and his offerings are an egg on a mound of flour. When he manifests in ritual, he does not speak, but he only hisses like a snake. All right. Now, notice, I want to point out the aspect of being affiliated in association with creation. It goes a little bit deeper than that. I have actually witnessed manifesting and hissing as a snake in several, incidents. When connecting with that aspect of it, as it's talking about in here, and then you'll see it also, which I don't really fuck with it's just me. They'll synchronize some of them, and that's where I find it gets a little too religious. They will synchronize some of these archetypes with Catholic icons, and I know I've seen some do Dambala we do with San Miguel or Saint Michael, or I've seen some Saint Patrick, because you see that image of Saint Patrick when he's casting the snakes away. Again, the reason why I don't fuck with it, and again, I'm not knocking anybody that does use it. The reason why I don't fuck with it is I know a lot of that stuff has its origin when the Portuguese slave masters kept, the Africans in slavery, and they synchronized it or hid it behind the worship of those icons, just like they did in Santeria or Ifa. It applied. It applies in this case scenario too. This is why when you even travel all over the place and you see what we call a Haitian botanica, like you'll see, we got one here called San Jacques. They'll use the Catholic synchronized aspect of it. I just don't see the need for it in this day and time. That's just me. I know there's people that work with it effectively. I've gotten a bunch of different opinions on this. Oh, we do it as tradition this, tradition that, blah, blah, blah. But my thing is we ain't in slavery no more. I just don't see the necessity of it. Call upon them. And
what's tripping me out? What's tripping me out, bro, is when we used to do go to misas, man, and we have misas and we do all that spiritual work, and at the end is like prayer, the prayer, and I'm just like, prayer to Jesus. I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? But
and mind you, tell all the people that would come secretly, pastors and reverend, on the slide.
You remember the pastor in that suit, man, the polyester suit? Yeah, Pastor Pork Chop.
Yeah, him and his wife. And that's what I'm saying. You had pastors that were running churches, coming in there on the slide, and like I said, the misas. If anybody's ever been to a misa or knows what a misa is for the Igun, if you go to a Santeria version of it, like Brother Jack was just talking about, it's a combination and a conglomeration of Christian rituals in the beginning before it goes into the African tradition of it, calling upon the Iguns and the drumming. And that was something that never sat right with us. I mean, literally, we'd be laughing in the beginning of that shit. I remember that numerous times when we would just be clowning because, like,
what?
We just like, what the fuck? But again, it just confirms the point. It confirms the whole point that we were talking about. And what I was just saying a minute ago, I just don't see the need for it in this day and time. That's just me. I know there will be others, many others that might disagree with that, and they still work with the Christian or Catholic iconic versions of it. I just don't feel the need in this day and time. You understand? Just for me. And one thing, like Brother Jack was saying in the beginning, you work with it, the way you see fit, or you see that suits you. It just doesn't suit me to use that aspect of it. To me, it just feels watered down and don't feel authentic. You understand what I'm saying? So that's just kind of the way I approach it. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Erzili Dantor. This is one of the, and you tell me, you can synchronize this energy with a lot of other archetypes, but let's read a little bit about it. Erzili Dantor is the voodoo goddess of love, romance, art, jealousy, passion, and sex. Dantor supports independent businesswomen and is the patron of women's finances. She is also the patron Loa of lesbian women and a fierce protector of women and children experiencing domestic violence. She's the patron Loha of New Orleans. Erzili Dantor offers protection and possibilities beyond the imagination. She is a mulatto woman who is often portrayed as the Black Madonna or the Roman Catholic Saint Barbara Africana. In New Orleans, she's often called Our Lady of Perpetual Help, which I don't fuck. This is the shit I'm talking about. I don't fuck with. She has tribal scars on her cheek. She's considered heterosexual because she has children, but she loves women fiercely and will defend them to the death. I'm bringing this up for you females. If you're looking for an archetype to tap into that masculine warrior type of energy, this is the one right here. Okay. Dantor loves knife and is considered the protector of newly consecrated voodoo priests and priestesses, as well as women who have been betrayed by a lover. She is a highly respected and much feared due to her woman power. Okay, woman power. Most Haitian women served Dantor, as do voodooists in New Orleans. Enlightened men also served Dantor. Enlightened men, secure men, not insecure men, that are just trying to always be macho. And I said this in the past, and I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it right here. I've found on this path when working with archetypes, I don't care if it's ancient Egypt, I don't care if it's Ifa, I don't care if it's Voudon, and this is one particular archetype. I find the feminine archetypes are more aggressive and masculine and warrior-like in nature than the male. Okay, fierce. It's a different type of fierceness. And I can say that comfortably, you understand? I could say that comfortably as a man. Some men are too macho because they think, it kills me these old Shango ass clowns, right? Whatever tradition, even if you're connected with this, the Ogun Shango aspect of this, I found one thing that used to bother the shit out of me. Everybody wants to be fucking Shango in this. It just I don't know what it is, and I think it's just their lack of penis. Personally, I think when you got to overly express yourself as being super macho, I think what tends to me that comes to the surface to that is insecurity on a multitude of levels. Not everybody. I mean people before they even found, like, in that tradition what Orishi was ruling their head, everybody thought it used to kill me. It used to kill me. Like, you can possess those masculine attributes. You understand? You can possess those. You can possess those attributes, but yet have a feminine energy rule the head. Okay, so. Don't be deceived by that. Don't fall into that trick, because what tends to happen is get disappointed. And I've watched it and I've seen it. What you want and what you are is two different things, especially on this path. All right. So let's continue. Anything you want to add to that, Jack?
No, you was definitely on point with that, man. Just you can't run away from yourself, no matter who you are.
All right, cool. All right. Urzili's personal story is a tragedy. She was a warrior who fought with her people during the Haitian Revolution. However, her own people cut her out of tongue so that she would not tell their secrets should she be captured. Thus, she is mute and can only produce a clicking sound with her tongue. She is often pictured with her daughter Anais, who serves as her translator and interpreter. And you'll hear the Anais, when I was mentioning the 21 divisions in the Dominican pantheon, right? Anais is one of the highest archetypes. You'll hear that title, and they'll say she's the wife of San Miguel. And San Miguel, as we mentioned earlier, is synchronized, and that's why I had mentioned earlier Danbala Widu, who is synchronized, quote unquote, with San Miguel. So again, that's the time you're going to have to do to take your time and do your research and connect it. And as I said, I haven't even touched on the Puerto Rican pantheon and how they use it. The titles and the names, they'll change also. So you got to take your time and look into it, because obviously we ain't gonna have time to go through all that this evening, because I kind of just wanted to touch on it and get into some of the basics. So again, the Petros, the Rada, the Gay de Lojas, which are just some of the families, the Naga and the Congos. Again, I can't stress enough how it's important to understand how to and when to work with the aspect of it. Because like I said, if you go into it half-assed, you're going to get half-assed results. Trust me when I tell you. You'll get more conflict and problems than you will solutions. And it's not something you want to go into, half-assed. You understand? Because if you go into it half-assed, problems start to arise. All right. So what I want to do now, in a few minutes, I'm going to go up, and we'll take some questions and some comments in a few minutes. I'll go back through the list. There's one more aspect I wanted to touch on real quick. Hold on, I'll wait for Jack to come back. I think it was Papa Getty. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, the Papa Getty, because we were talking about this one time. Well, let's read. I want to go through that one real quick. Papa Getty is the Lord of the Cemeteries, right? And is considered the counterpart to Baron Samedi. He waits, another crossroad deity we're talking about here. He waits at the crossroads to escort souls into the afterlife. This had come up very similar to the synchronization when you look at Anubu or Anubis. Same concept. And again, you have to pay attention to how a lot of these things are synchronized, okay? Like all the barons, he has a very crass sense of humor. Papa Getty is considered to be the corpse of the first man who ever died. He appears as a short, dark man with a high hat on his head, all right? Cigar in his mouth and an apple in his left hand. It is said that he has a divine ability to read minds and to know everything that happens in both worlds. If a child is dying, Papa Getty is prayed to. It is believed that he will not take a life before its time and that he will protect little children. Again, very similar attributes as Anubu. I wanted to read that because somebody had brought that up. So, in essence, I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that real quick, Jack.
Nah, it was good, man. Go ahead.
No, but it's parlaying and shit.
Nah, please. Go ahead.
Anyways, just like all the other things we talked about for over the years, just have an understanding when you're working with these energies. There is no particular right or wrong way. You choose to see fit, you know, how it's going to help and assist you, but just make sure you're approaching it with the right intent. And intent is the key. When you're working any type of black magic, right? This is not, and I make this clear because for over 20 years, dealt with all that bullshit. This isn't all that conscious comedic bullshit that people are spitting constantly. It's all talk. It's all rhetoric. There's no action to support it. This ain't about listening to Negroes give lectures on ancient Egypt for hours, history upon history, but no works to back up or support it. This is about actually doing work. If you want to be lectured to and told how great you are and how great you used to be and blah, 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 and listen to the same old shit, this ain't the path for you, point blank. This is you actually doing work. You have everybody talking about ancient Egypt. It's like a big fucking fad now. Everybody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to be comedic. Everybody wants to take these comedic names, but they don't know a goddamn fucking thing. They don't know nothing about Heka. They don't know nothing about working magic. They want to refer you again to just constant history. They want to argue about if the Metu Neter was translated. They want to argue over dynasties, who was first, blah, blah, blah. That shit ain't doing nothing for you in 2018. Period. It's not doing anything for you. Okay? This is a path about doing work and getting results. So if you want to just be a walking dictionary, you understand? And you think you know some shit, okay? If you want to sit there and tell me about Usia, tell me how you can manifest the power of Usia. I ain't interested about the history no more, because I can find that shit anywhere. See, the problem that tends to go on today, and some people don't like to hear it, people just like to hear lectures that stroke their fucking ego. That's it. It just gets them emotional. You know what happens after these lectures and they get all emotionally charged? They go back to doing the same shit, period. That's the reality. This is why things don't change. You understand?
That sounds like church to me, man.
Oh.
It sounds like church, brother.
It is. That's all it is. You know, you got your hoteppers. You know what I mean? And the funny thing is, none of them speak the language. Barely any of it. They know one word, fucking hotep. And then you got your Ifa, Alafia, Ashe. Do you know any other fucking words? You know what I mean? Just because you wear symbols and you put it on and you take a colorful name, it don't mean shit. You understand? It doesn't mean shit. We got to stop doing like Christians do. They do the same thing. They put on the church outfit, the crews, they got all the decorations. They look spiritual on the outside, but up in here and here, there ain't nothing there. You understand?
Hey, we've seen this plenty of times. They'll play the part, but their character be fucked up, man. Be fucked up.
Nah, all you gotta do is just talk to them.
Yeah.
Say, like I say that to say, especially with this is not something. And as I said, we don't really talk or get into it too much, but I think it was necessary to get scratch a little bit of it this evening, because people have been asking about it. They've been sending, email and etc. All right. So again, like you said in the beginning, Jack, you choose to work with it how you see fit, and get out of this bullshit that there's one way of doing something. And if you're a follower and you feel like you need to belong to a Mickey Mouse fucking club or some group or some organization, and you have to do it that way, and anybody that doesn't do it that way is wrong, then you're a fucking program idiot. Okay? So it's not going to work for you. You understand? This is about being a free thinker. This is about figuring the path of self-mastery is just that. You mastering your own path, figuring it out yourself. Not having somebody, if somebody's got to tell you everything to do, but then you want to say you're a god or a goddess, that's comical to me. And, all those exclusive groups and clubs that people want to continue to belong to, It's just a scapegoat. It's an easy way out. That's all that shit is. It just shows that people who don't want to do the work themselves, because I posed the question a while ago, at what point does the student let go of the master's hand and become the master himself or herself? Okay, when does that happen? When do you stop being up under somebody? You understand? When do you stop being the pupil, right? Nobody, you know, I'm just saying, if it's not now, you tell me when. I'm saying, not for me. I'm just saying, if you're an individual who feels like you're not at that level yet, then when do you feel like you will be at that level? I'm not talking about the individual that just comes upon the path. That's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about, I know motherfuckers on this path, they still sucking somebody's nuts. You understand? Still dangling under somebody's nuts. We're talking about people that have been around for years. You understand? So my question is, at what point do you break off and stand on your own? I'm talking to that individual. All right. We ain't talking about somebody new. Of course, when you're new, you need guidance, you need direction, and that's fine. I'm not saying you should not have elders, you should not have teachers. You should, but that's what teaching is. It's instruction. If you don't take that instruction and apply it yourself, then you're a follower. You understand? Because we got a lot of walking encyclopedias around here. A lot of them. They walk around, they can regurgitate information they read somewhere. They can regurgitate some shit they heard in a lecture or a video or some bullshit that they come across to on social media somewhere. But when you ask them, can you apply it? Then they look at you like you got 8 heads now. Like, what are you talking about? Exactly. Just that response alone answers the question. So very important.
What's that scripture, that biblical scripture about baby milk or food? I forgot how it goes.
What, titty milk and what else?
Oh, there we go. Now the world talking about like leave the milk for the children and grown-ups eat regular food. Okay, it's in the New Testament. You should know what it is, man.
It's probably just not coming to me right now.
All right, whatever, man.
I'll shall not drink spoiled tea.
Cambodia breast milk, man. Cambodia.
Breast milk. That's classic. I was watching that shit a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right. So let's do this. Let's see if we got some questions, some comments, and maybe we can bring somebody wants to come in and ask a question. Again, if I didn't greet you when you came in the room, peace. As you know, I was trying to play around and get some of the sound and video shit right. So I apologize for that earlier. I don't know. I'm not sure if Brother Mike is still here. Brother Seth Athena. Let's see. Mandy Dangerously typed in earlier. Isn't it against voodoo practitioners to do bad? It's, well, that's a touchy subject. Technically, yes, but people still will do it. They will abuse the power. And like I'm saying, if it's not just with this path, when you're working black magic, if you, on whatever spiritual system you're using, I don't care what it is, Luciferianism, it could be whatever it is you're using. If you're using it just for personal greed, especially in the sense of harming an individual, that will tend to backfire on you. Your intent is always key. What is your intent? There are ethics that do need to be followed, especially if you are working magic to intentionally harm somebody. And if you're not justified, or there's no justification for it, yes, that can open up doors you probably don't want to fuck with. You understand? But I've seen the flip side of it. If you are in the right and, you know, you are cooperating, quote unquote, with the laws of nature, and you know that you're in the right 100% without beyond a shadow of a doubt, that pretty much gives you the doorway to open up and open up a can of whoop ass on somebody. Trust me. Okay. So it's always your intent. So when you make that statement or ask that question, yes, they bad in the sense, because remember, there's no such thing as good or bad. That's just all perception. When we say something is good or something is bad, that's based on the individual that's perceiving it, right? Same thing when one individual can look at something and say that's bad. And the same individual could be looking at the same thing and don't see it as being bad. Remember, good and bad is just a varying degree of vibration. When we talk about the 12 principles of Tahuti, the doctrine of vibration and rhythm, how we perceive is going to be based on that perception. So when working black magic, left-hand path, specialist path, as I said in the beginning, even with the Lohas, don't classify them as good or bad. They are different energies that serve different purposes. They carry certain frequencies and vibrations, and they work with different things in accordance. So we don't look at it. And as I said earlier, over the years, people will tell you, the petrol Lohas, don't fuck with them, or don't mess with this or that. It's dangerous. Well, it's dangerous if you approach it with that fearful mindset. If you feel like something bad is going to happen or something negative, or if you've convinced yourself in your mind that it is, then it is. It's that simple. Those that know, I don't look at any of it as being bad. Again, where the discipline and the wisdom comes in is knowing when to execute and use the right energy and facilitate it at the right time. That's the key. That's the work that you have to figure out. That's the work you have to discipline yourself with to figure out how you're going to do that. You understand? If you can figure that part out, then everything else will pretty much, it becomes easier as you go along. So don't ever approach it with that. That's religion, that good and bad mindset. That's that God and devil concept. God is good, the devil is bad. You spook yourself out with that shit if you approach it on that level. All right. And I'm not saying you are, Mandy, but I was just kind of touching. Kaywood says, I'm in New Orleans. There's a serious energy there. And Jack, I know you were just there. You were talking the same thing. Yeah, there is. Obviously, because of the roots and the connections with the voodoo tradition. I didn't even know you were over there, brother. And Mandy followed it in. No such thing as good and bad, only energy strength. Yes, varying degrees of vibration. And by that vibration, how it's perceived by the individual, that's how they determine if something good and bad. See, that's the problem why sometimes you can't hold an intelligent conversation, because that good and bad complex is what fucking dumb downs individuals' intelligence. It gives them the be right complex, because they have been programmed and taught what's good and bad. It's some system that's been indoctrinated deep and embedded in their mind. So, and then they get upset with you if you don't agree with them. That's shit that kills me. Like I said, when anything, it's up to you whether you want to agree with something or not. You don't have to agree with anything. You shouldn't agree with everything. You should agree with something because you come to the realization of the truth of what is being presented. But when you get into that be right bullshit, like I'm right and everybody else is wrong shit, that's when you get fucked up. I'm telling you. And usually the debate or the conflict starts is when there's a difference of ideology. That's where the problem comes in. And we've got to learn to disagree as mature adults and not focus on, what we like and don't like only. That's some personal shit. That's some shit you got to wrestle with and get over. I don't like. Are you trying to say something, Jack?
No, I was not.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
No, I was talking to Jen. Bro.
Tell Jen I said, what's up?
All right.
What's she doing? She with the kid? Was she with the kid?
Yeah, she with the kid right now.
All right.
Hold on a second.
But yeah. Anyway.
Sorry, man.
What were you saying?
Not to apologize about that. Go ahead.
No, you good. Now, what I was saying, usually where the conflict comes in is when, or the debate comes in is when an individual gets upset because it doesn't line up with their ideology. Well, guess what? Not everything's going to line up with your own ideology. Just like everything I encounter doesn't line up with my own personal ideology. But if it's just something that I don't deal with, I just don't deal with it. I'm not going to sit there and get upset because it doesn't fit quote unquote the criteria. And that's why I said all this shit you got going on here. We have all these debates. It's all entertainment. That's all it is. Because there's nothing really productive out of it. It's sad in 2018, we still got to go on fucking social media. And like, who the fuck cares about Black Hebrew Israelites? Like, oh, who was here first? The Hebrew Israelites or ancient Egypt? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. I be hearing those debates. I'm just like, I don't even want to listen because I'm like, that should have put no money in your pockets, man. Let's be real, man. In 2018, man, it's about putting more money in your pocket, about elevating your life. That shit is like in the fucking 80s, bro. They was talking about that shit, bro. 70s, man. We past that now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like I said, the problem with a lot of it is, you know, some people, they don't really want to learn. They want to be entertained. That's the problem. You know, some people would rather just sit in one of them events and again get emotionally charged and feel good and blah, blah, blah. And like I said, once the shit is over, shit just goes back to being the same old shit. Because there's no work being done. There's no work being done spiritually, I'm talking about. You know, all you do is you hear the same old rhetoric. We got to unite, bring our money together, blah, 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 blah. Shit don't happen. That's just the reality. It just doesn't fucking happen. Now, a question people should be asking is, why is it not happening? Why is it always just constantly being talked about and nothing ever happens? I'm just saying. I mean, shit. We could probably be here with brainstorm with a couple of different things. But the point being is, it's just sad in this day and time, some of these discussions are still being talked about. With all that you see going on out here, with all you see going on in the world, with all you see going on in politics and society, and we want to spend our time and energy on, or, you know, who the ancient. We want to be Israel. we want to discuss Kemet versus ancient Egypt and Kemet versus the Hebrew Israel. Who gives a fuck? And that's why I told people years back, don't email me with that shit. I don't care. I have no interest or desire to participate in any of that fuckery. It's a waste of time and energy. All right. So what else we got? Our brother Seth Afner types in, yes, varying degrees. Vibration, the law of vibration breaks this down clearly. Yes, and the 7 Hermetic principles. And I've always told people that's a good groundwork to really understand the subjective universe. You understand? Because working black magic, greater black magic anyway, starts with dealing with your subjective universes. All right. Understanding that and the operation of the mind, all is mental is all. Really go look at those 7 Hermetic principles. It'll make it clear. All right. Okay, what else we got? Bafflicious Yummy. Peace to Bafflicious Yummy. All right. Then Mandy types in K. Edwards. Okay, no, I'll skip the conversation between you guys. I'll get to just other stuff. Mandy dangerously typed in Papa Legba is like a Legba, right? Yes, in the sense that it is a path and road opening or crossroad deity. Yes, in that sense. And that's why I said you will see, be it dealing with Palo Mayembe, Palo Mante, Ifa, dealing with some of the Voudon pantheon, you'll see a lot of these deities synchronized. Where you can make that connection. So yes, in that sense, but I found the energy of Papa Legba to be a little bit different. But yes, in that sense, there is a connection there. All right. What else we got? Manny types in, I love the sigil work in voodoo. That's what caught my attention to it. I just know I'm not ready for it mentally yet. Okay. All right. Manny types in drumming rituals always make my hair stand up. They never subsided. I love it. Yeah. And yeah, we talked about earlier the power of the drum. You can't negate the power of the drum. You know what I mean? And we utilize it in everything that we do. We actually just this past weekend, we posted a couple of clips of it. Yeah, the drum is key in all these rituals because remember, even as we talked about in the past, for an example, when dealing with, there's initiation for drummers in these rituals too. Okay, they have to go through a strict initiation because there's certain patterns and rhythms in a certain way that have to be played for these deities. It was mentioned in the different rhythms for the lohas because what that does is it intensifies at a working or a ritual. It intensifies the energy, and like I said, it brings that quote unquote spirit to the individual that is trying to embody whatever particular aloha they're working with. Same thing applies, in the Ifa pantheon, any pantheon in itself. Because remember, when you're working a ritual in that aspect, you are trying to embody every aspect of what that particular deity represents. That's the difference between worshiping something and becoming. Okay, we don't worship anything on this path. Make that clear. If you do, this is not the right path for you. This is not about worshiping external things. Okay? The God that you're looking for resides right in the center of your chest. It's the only place you should be looking. If you still want to worship something outside of yourself, external, if you still feel the need to make prayers to these external things, then just go back to being religious. That's it. Keep it simple. And then you want to add, Jack, or you just parlaying over there?
No, I'm listening, man, but it's a fact. But again, like with the drumming, is just an aspect of it. You look at it liken it to hip hop. You have the MC, the DJ, the break dancers. It's all an aspect of it. But this with this, everything's a vibration. When we chant, it's a vibration. When you dance, it's a vibration. The colors are a vibration. So you just kind of adding more energy to it. It's all vibrations in a day and frequencies too. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
Okay. Still kind of baffled why I can't pull this shit up here. It's crazy. I gotta look into that. Hold on, I'm just checking something here. Still getting familiar with this. I'll figure it out. But yeah, that's a good point. All right. Mandy also typed in it happened to me. I guess we were talking about working with that energy earlier. And it wasn't good at all. But looking back at it, whatever mounted me, tried getting out of the bad situation I was in at the time. My feet were set on fire. I still had the scar. Tried getting me out. Yeah. Those are the type of experiences you will have. They can be very severe and intense. And again, as Sister Mandy is confirming, this is why I say, all jokes aside, your intent, you understand? Approach it with sincerity. If you're going to be half-assed about it, just don't even waste your time. You're wasting your time. And unfortunately, you see this. I hate to say it. I've seen it over 20 plus years doing this. I've seen it. I've seen people come and go that I probably can't even count. And it's always the ones that talk the most shit. It's the talkers that usually, when it comes to doing the work anyway, I'm talking about, they're the ones that usually fade because their intent wasn't there. Sometimes you get wrapped up in your own personal bullshit or emotions and, you get amped, and I've watched people, I'm going to do this and that, And then when it didn't really pan out the way that they thought it was, or it wasn't what they really thought it was, something usually goes wrong. And that's why I say, with all jokes aside, if your intent is in the right place and you apply yourself and you're sincere about what you're doing, it's going to work out for you. Trust me when I tell you that. It's that simple. And sometimes we like to just make shit more complicated than it is. Or sometimes we like to make shit more deeper than it is. We like to make it super deep and super spooky when in essence, it's not even really about that. You understand? All right. What else we got? Smooth the God typed in earlier. Are the Voudon Congo spirits archetypes or has these spirits walked Earth? And if they are just archetypes, of the reason for the intensified experience, because the archetype is open in a deeper aspect of you. Yes, because remember, that's what an archetype is. It represents an aspect of your psyche, part of your character, your nature, your personality. All of these archetypes and any of these pantheons represent an aspect of yourself. And that's the purpose when you're working with it on this path. That's the difference, as I said a few minutes ago, as opposed to worshiping them and as opposed to embodying what they represent. Because remember, even in the ancient Egyptian pantheon, when we were building on that, all right, you've had over the years, through history, how a lot of these stories obviously were changed as they were passed down through time. So you have, like for an example, you have a multitude of, there's not just one Shango, one Obatala. You understand? Many people carried that title. You understand? Because when they were raised to a certain level of knowledge, they obtained that title. And this is why even with the dynasties in Egypt and the cults and the dynasties of ancient Egypt, they would take that particular deity's name as a part of their particular nome or cult. You understand? Because if they took the name Seti on their name, that's because they were exclusive to the cult of Set. Same thing with Heru. So what tends to happen is that's the symbolic part of us. Even in this day, you apply that same concept of how you're supposed to do the work. You're raising yourself up to that level of consciousness. So I would definitely look at it more. See, when you say walk the earth literally, and again, this is not just at you, Smooth to God. I'm speaking in general now. I'm not saying you're caught up in that, but what tends to happen is you might not be consciously saying that on the surface. This man worship thing that we've become so focused on by way of religion at a very young age, right? That we've become so centralized and focused on. And again, I'm saying because some of us are not conscious of it. I wouldn't waste my time literally struggling with the aspect how literal or not they were and when they walked, because really, in essence, at the end of the day, that's really not gonna help you. And I'm not saying that not to understand the history of it, because yes, that is important, to an aspect. But when we get caught up in history and we live in the past and we get stuck, and again, this is not directed to you, Smooth to God, I'm speaking in general because you bring up a good question and it's led me to other points. We get caught up in this man worship. How do you know this? Look in this day and time, how many blacks, Latinos still want to belong to Mickey Mouse clubs. They still want to be fucking Wapians and shit. And they still want to follow somebody who they believe, by the way, who's locked up in jail, sick fucking pedophile locked up in jail, that they still are delusional and think this fucker's going to get out and take him to some outer space, place in outer space, or back to Africa. That's a sick individual. You understand? That's an individual that's weak, pathetic, and can't stand on their own. And they're looking for somebody to do it for them. That's that man worship shit. That's that Jesus shit that creeps back in on another level. Because all those groups, whether it's Yahweh Ben Yahweh, Dr. York, they're all Jesus type of character archetypes. What do I mean by that? This is the okie dokie. And by the way, tonight, for those that didn't know, somebody had sent me an email earlier on Discovery Investigation Channel tonight, which is 285 on DirecTV, which I'm DVRing it. I'm going to watch it later. They have an hour on the Nuwapian cult and some good stuff on it. I actually know some of the people that are going to be on that show. Dispelling this sick fuck's perversion. And the sad thing is we still got people that belong to this organization and are delusional. They literally think that this fucking guy is innocent. And they come with the craziest shit and they know nothing about the case. They know nothing about the evidence. And those that know me, you know what I know in reference.
They're still waiting for it. They want to fit their seat, man. That's what it is. They're and whack.
Yeah. They waiting for the fucking shams to take them back to risk.
Yeah,
These are the same motherfuckers that can't pay their rent and shit and can't pay their bills. And they don't even know where next hot sandwich is coming from, but they're worried about, These motherfuckers is worried about if they're going to risk or not, or back to Africa, or wherever the fuck they're going. But again, I bring it up to show you it's the sick mindset, the man worship mindset of that's been instilled in individuals at an early age. It's the follower mindset. Like, I don't want to do any work. Let me just link into somebody that speaks to fucking aliens or higher powers, and they're going to take me to the promised land. It's that mentality, you know. And unfortunately, you know, like I say, even with Minister Farrakhan, I agree with a lot of the things he says, but some of his followers can be fanatical too. It's the same thing. They think some man's got the sole key to their salvation. The only one that's got the key to your salvation is you. If you really think that some fucking ship is coming back for you or whatever the fuck crazy loony bird shit you think is going to happen, you're going to be very disappointed. Trust me when I tell you, you're going to be very fucking disappointed. So it's that man worship thing. And I know your question, Smooth God, it just took me to a whole bunch of other areas. We got to focus on, yes, how that connects to us internally, because it is a representation of our higher self. That's why each one of these archetypes represents a certain thing. They all deal with a specific aspect that you can work with. They deal with certain levels of consciousness, and they suit certain purposes. But what they really are doing is activating certain aspects of your psyche, that all of this energy exists and resides within you. It's always been there. It's just we lost connection with it because our attention was focused to external worship, to worshiping spook and mystery gods that don't exist by way of monotheism. And this is why a majority of us, before we came into any path like this, we were influenced by Islam, Christianity, or Judaism on some level. Most of us have some, I mean, I'm saying everybody's level is probably different. Some people probably not strong, but majority of people at some point were connected to that. And as I said before, when you come on this path, that doesn't go away right out the gate. It takes time, because there's a lot of that at work subconsciously as well as consciously. And a lot of people who think they're over it, again, we've seen them, me and Jack, they'll come in, even dealing with ancient Egypt. They look at the Egyptian deities like a Christian looks at religion, a Catholic looks at saints. They still use terms like the Most High. They still, you know, like Ra the Most High. That kills me. Like subliminally, that's no different than a Muslim saying Allah the Most High, or a Hebrew saying, you know, Yahweh. I mean, it's crazy to me, because now we're back to spookism again. So the biggest mental block to break on anybody is this higher power that resides outside of you. Spell. How do you break that? Well, that's part of one of the things you must shed when working on this path. And again, it doesn't come overnight. It takes time. And then you want to add to that, Jack?
No, I get you. I fully agree, man. It's like, remember back in the day, you posted like a posting of Set smacking the shit out of a horse, and people were going crazy.
I remember that.
So it's like, you know, some people spook it out, man. Some people just can't help but spook things out and turn into a religion. You know, and just tell you where their mindset is at. They can't really stand on 2 feet when it comes to things. Yeah,
true indeed. Oh, another thing I want to add real quick, because I know some people still with email, and some people, I guess, that recently just seen that we haven't been posting any new radio shows. Just want to make something clear. And the reason why we're not doing the radio show and it's temporarily or indefinitely suspended is because myself, and again, I'm speaking for myself, I'm focusing on some other things that I've committed myself to personally, and I just don't have the time for it. I think sometimes people don't understand myself and Brother Ravana Noon. We don't live 3-4 blocks away. Okay, I just want to make this clear. If you geographically know the distance between, you know, Orlando and North Fort Lauderdale, it's about 3 to 3.5 hours. So I just want to make it clear for what's going on right now, because I think people are still a little bit confused. He's doing what he does there. He's doing his work and what he's got going on there, which I have nothing to do with directly because I'm not there. And it's the same thing. I'm doing what I'm doing here, and he doesn't have connection directly to it because he's not here. You understand? I just want to make that clear, because I think some people tend to think that he lives around the corner and I'm like 2 blocks from him. That's just not what's going on right now. So he's doing his thing and I'm doing my thing presently at the moment. So I just want to make that clear, because I think some people think that that it's like three, 4 blocks apart and everything is connected like that. It's not. And if you know the geographical distance, you understand why I'm saying that. So I just wanted to be clear on that because some people still inquired. I guess some people just, recently got wind that they saw that there was no new topics posted on the radio show. And like I said, I say indefinitely suspended for the moment because I don't know when that might strike back up again. And that's why I say indefinitely. I just don't know when. And that's because of, again, what I got going on. I've made commitments. Something that I started a few years ago that I knew it was going to get to a certain point that I was going to have to devote more time to it. And it's that simple. That's it. So I've chose to commit my time, effort, and energy to that. So that's kind of what's going on, And if you're near, where Brother Ravana Noon is at, then link up with him in that area. And if you're closer to me, you link up with me here. That's just how it is right now. So I just want to make that clear, just so there's no confusion. All right. And like I said, a radio show is suspended indefinitely. Will it mean a radio show will never start up again? No, it just means indefinitely right now. That's all. All right. I just wanted to address that for some of the people that were inquiring about no new episodes posting and stuff like that. All right. So that was a good question, Smooth God. Good question. All right, let me keep going down. I'm going to skip the conversation between you guys. Nathan 22. What's up, brother? Mandy Dangerously. My youngest daughter is 5 and her favorite movie is... Anybody else got something to say besides Mandy? My youngest daughter is 5 and her favorite movie is Princess and the Frog. And every time she watches it, she says, "Look, Mommy Santo." Although she loves the Shadow Man. He. Yeah, well, these kids, because, their mind tends not to be as corrupt as us as adults because we've been through so many more periods of indoctrination. They sometimes see clearer and connect with things on a more deeper level than we do. So, I would always cultivate that connection. Prince Yabab, I came in kind of late. Not sure if you mentioned it, but was it a good beginning? Yes. These were the 2 books that I had thrown up there. They're good beginner books. This one, I'm not crazy about everything in it, but there's some good stuff in it. This is the Haitian Voodoo Handbook. The author is Kenaz Filan, Kenazfilan. This one, which is more the aspect I work with, the Voodoo aspect of, or the Voodoo tradition. This is the Voodoo spell book by Denise Alvarado. This is just more of a path that I resonate with, that I connect with. But these are 2 beginner books I would recommend that you check into. That's the ones I had referred to earlier. All right. Okay. Manny Stephens was introduced to these amazing deities through Santeria. We now honor them the proper way, and I have to say, much better energy given. Yes. And remember, that's why I said if you're working altars and setting things up, don't do it half-assed, because it can create that mental conflict. If you understand what I'm saying, you're either going to do it or you're not. And honor is a good word because it's really connecting to yourself. Okay. All right. What else we got? Okay, I guess earlier we had a jackass comment. Ankara 999, very Egyptian. I'm confused over here. Never mind, I minds my biz. Guess the English is not too good either. And he typed in a ridiculous comment up here. I guess this is why he's confused. Are you a light-skinned Negro or a dark-skinned white man? With a name like Ankara, I'll let you figure that one out. That's that, not light or dark enough bullshit. But I am a mixed mulatto, if that makes you feel comfortable. And if you need somebody that's completely dark-skinned to cater to your ego, I would suggest you find a channel where there's somebody that caters to your ego. It's that simple, brother or sister. You could be a sister. I don't know. Very, very spiritual name, though. Akra 999. Could be a Nawapian name, too, because they like to put that 9 shit on the end of it. It's very deep and spiritual, you know. Okay, what else we got here? Leak. Oh, what's up, brother? Leak. Boo. Can you give some info on Dambella? I went over that a little bit earlier. I'm not sure when you came in the room, so maybe you caught that. I'm not sure if you did, but if not, you might want to go back to the first, I think it said within the first hour, I believe we went over it. What time does this comment come in? You came in at 9:30. No, you should have been here when we went over it. Well, you might have came in on the tail end, but I would go to the beginning. We did talk about a couple aspects of Dambella. Dambella, we went over. We were talking about the aspect of him as the serpent dealing with creation and the synchronization. I don't know if you were here. That was one aspect. I mean, there's others. We only touched on one small aspect of it. But I would suggest, for time's sake, because we ain't got much more time. Well, not much more time left for this evening, but we can go back over it next time we touch on this. All right. What else we got? Mandy again. Right. Guilty. I suffered for searching outside of myself, but humbled for it all because I found my own power through scars made by the fuckery. Well, I mean, that's key. The step is realizing it. That's step one. You know, it's kind of like going to AA, right? As they say, Alcoholics Anonymous. Step one is realizing you have a problem. See, the people you always hear us say the term on this path. Step one is dealing with your bullshit. And the first mistake, the people who think they don't have any issues or problems with themselves, that's problem one right there. That's the biggest lie that they've ever said. We all have some bullshit that we're dealing with. We all have shit that we're struggling with, etc. So that's step one. But step two is the most important part. What work, and I'm just speaking in general now, Mandy, I'm not speaking directly to you. What work are people actually doing when they find out what's wrong? Because if you just see, that's the problem too we have today in a lot of areas of spirituality. We all know the problem, but we don't put any energy and work to the solutions. So as long as you have identified the problem and then you start applying work for the solutions, then that means you have learned from that. You understand? But when it keeps happening over and over again, the same issues and problems recurring, then that means you're not putting no effort or energy into doing any work to correct those things. But that's a good point. But step one is obviously the realization. Yvette typed in, I came in late, so I might have missed this part, but is Oshun a part of the Voudon pantheon? No, not in the essence of what you know as, Oshun. Now, are there Voudon deities that have same like attributes? Yes, we went over one, Urzili Dantor, who definitely would be somebody close to Oshun because she deals with a high sexual energy. She protects and pay attention to the attributes. Protects women who are giving birth, protects children, is of a high sexual nature, also has a warrior aspect. This is all different paths of Oshun when you also deal with it from the Ifa aspect. So by name, not exactly by name, but by attribute and things that are connected similarly, yes. But not by the exact name, no. What else we got? Sheba, Sekhmet piece, Mandy. Okay, that's a side conversation. Okay, so I guess maybe somebody else. Oshun would be a part of the Ifa tradition or Ifa pantheon. All right, so I just want to make that clear. Okay. And that's who my guardian Orisha is, Oshun. And that's why I was saying earlier in the beginning of the video, you will find out that the female archetypes, in my opinion and experience, and I'm speaking from my opinion and experience, are more aggressive and masculine in nature than the male aspects of it. That's just in my opinion. this is why I'm saying a lot. I always noticed when I first, years back, when I first came into the IFA, every guy that first came in on the path, before they went before the three Babalawas and had their guardian Orishi pulled, everybody thought, all these dudes thought they were Shango because they all wanted to be macho, this and that. And a lot of people at first had confused my energy with that, but I knew I wasn't Shango. I already knew that. And you know, everybody wanted to be at that time, or still does. I still see it. Everybody thinks they Shango and they want to be, you know, everybody wants to be that macho example. And then they find out, for an example, they Yemaya and their fucking feelings get hurt.
hey, I ain't gonna lie. Before I got my foot, I was like, I'm Ogun, man. I'm Ogun. Yeah. My fans are mechanics. I'm Ogun. They said Oshun. I was like, what? I was like, nah, man.
But there's that warrior nature of Oshun. See, everybody thinks Oshun is just feminine and just deals with, you know, materialistic things and sexuality. Yes, but there is a warrior, a severe warrior aspect of Oshun, and that's the particular path. Remember, there's different paths. We're talking about the Ifa tradition now. There's different paths, so they're not all the same. And that's why it didn't surprise me, you know, when I was showing down my older son at that time, when Mikey, I knew he was Shango, just because he wasn't trying to be or influence, because man, he was young when he did. I mean, he was real young, but I just knew. But my whole point is, don't get that locked in your psyche, thinking that because or vice versa, or I'm a female. And, you know, everybody wants to be Asset and everybody wants to be Yemaya, and they think all females are motherly. And then they find out that they Ogun and shit and they're female. You know what I mean? And then they might have found out, well, shit, yeah, I do work like 78 hours a week and shit. You know, I never really took that into account, etc. But when you're working with the spirit, you got to kind of just let it become what it is. Stop trying to you know, be something or try to make it something just because only solely based on the fact what you want it to be and what it is two different things. But the understanding of that or coming to the realization of it, that's the challenge, especially when dealing with this type of system. All right. What else we got? Beautiful and fierce energy. Yoruba traditions, beautiful and fierce energy. Yvette also typed in one more question. Why didn't the slaves call on their deities to deliver them from slavery? The deities should have been able to help them overthrow the slaveholders. You know what? I've always asked myself that question. And that's one of the reasons why I don't believe in that synchronization bullshit. In this day and time, 2018, still masking it behind Catholic icons and all that shit, because I think that's watered down. Now, the question that you posed, that's a very good question. Do I have a specific answer for that? No, and I'm not going to give you the bullshit watered down that people will give you, because you bring up a good point. And I always say, if slavery was allowed to happen, what power of what black gods allowed it to be? You understand in dealing with it from that aspect. Now, when you apply it, if individuals as their individual selves let their guard down, and when you look at during them times when they let colonizers in under the pretenses of friendship, I think it was more so self brought on. I think it was allowed because at those times they let their guard down, because remember, it was done under a lot of false pretenses. Now, you don't want to go spook and say, well, there's no spook or mystery god in the sky controlling this. You understand? The God that's controlling this is us. So the God that failed would have been those individuals that allowed them people to come in and colonize and take advantage under the pretenses of being friends. That's the logical explanation. So it was brought upon, it was, you know, those individuals, it was allowed, you know, just as easy as we could have accepted the offer. Just the same thing with the Native Americans here in this country. Same thing. They always come under the pretense of help, and then the deception comes, and the God that failed them was themselves. You understand? So I'm not going to take it to spookism. I'm not saying that's where you were trying to take it, but that's how you got to look at this. You got to look at it practical. You understand? But it's a good question. I've always thought that. I've always ran that through my mind. And Jack even followed it up with a good comment. You want to elaborate on Haitian using the Voudon to defeat the French and, you know, Haiti's independence? Maybe you want to speak on that a little bit. Why don't you disappear?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, before there's a good documentary on it. It's by I think it's produced by Tariq Nasheed. It's called Hidden Colors, and he broke down pretty much. Thanks, baby. He broke down the whole Haitian Revolution, and pretty much before the revolution started, they had a voodoo ceremony where it was a voodoo priestess from Haiti, and it was a Jamaican, you know, I guess voodoo priest from Jamaica, and they came together. They had a ceremony and they got everybody riled up. But the whole process took 10 years that they won. But the thing was, you gotta imagine it was a small island, small number of people, but they defeated France. Where at that time France was, you know, one of it was just like beating America at that time. And it wasn't so much if you read the prayers that you can find the prayers that they had during the ceremony. And all it was saying, the prayers was like, "No, God work through me. If this is my destiny to be free, like He's gonna work. He's gonna give me the guidance of what I need to do." So it was like pretty much they were tapping within a God within Himself, opposed to through these archetypes. It wasn't more of just praying out of something outside themselves. It was all within. So that's the power of that.
Okay. All right. Cool.
If you want to look up the Jamaican, got the title, but he was a priest. His name was Dutty. I'm not sure it was Dutty something. I'm not sure what it was, but it was Dutty. If you look up Jamaican Haitian Revolution ceremony, look up Dutty, you'll see his prayer, what he did before, what he spoke on before the ceremony started. So
okay,
there you go.
All right, cool. All right, so what else we got here? Try to wrap this up in a few. It's getting late. Manny typed in, the people I was searching for help with had an Allegro drumming at our new business. That's where I was mounted, and I know how it was fuckery because I was scared. Followed by the worst 4 years of my life. And that's why you gotta be careful. Tony Thornton. What are your thoughts on Luciferian doctrine? We've actually done, obviously this is not the class, but we talk about it frequently. There's a lot of videos we go over Luciferian doctrine. Luciferian doctrine, vampirism, very similar and connected. We work with a lot of aspects of it. Luciferianism being, illuminated by way of intellect, working with Leviathan. We've touched on a lot of that in many videos. You'll see some videos posted on that. So I'd recommend you go through some of the archives and look for some of the videos on that. Just because that's kind of just not what we're talking about. It's kind of at the end here. But yeah, we definitely use Luciferianism on the left-hand path, working with various different aspects of it. And again, like I say, you'll find in certain aspects of Vampire, especially when you're working with aspects of Set, Sekhem, there's a connection with all that. Just depending on, what aspect you work with it, because there could be, myself, I can only speak for myself, but we've actually done rituals, group rituals here, and some people that are actually present in the room have participated in that. And Luciferianism can be a very powerful tool. But again, I would suggest you go through the archives and look at some of the videos that were exclusively on that topic. All right. Peace to the Black Tower. Yeah, you are late, brother, sister. I'm not sure. I believe you, brother. I'm sorry. I don't want to get that wrong. Yeah, you definitely came late. You came at the tail end. You bet. Okay, no, that's a sidebar conversation. Let's get that. Unfortunately, slavery still happened, however, not spiritually. So in a sense, they were still free. True indeed. Paulo, what's up, brother? The channel that I was mentioning that Nuwapian fuckery is on is, again, I got direct TV. It's channel 285. It's the Discovery Investigation channel. It's People Magazine has a show on there, and it was done by People Magazine. It was an investigation into the Nuwapian cult, the things that took place. And they actually had Nikki Lopez, who I actually know, and some of the other people that were directly linked to the whole scenario talking about it. But as usual, spooky ass Nuwapians will see the shit and they'll be in denial, and they'll talk the same rhetoric. It's a setup, they're trying to keep a black man down, same old fucking rhetoric. When they don't want to talk about York's medical records and the herpes 1 and 2 and the gonorrhea and how he refused to be retested. And he was given the opportunity to have his own doctor retest him. They don't believe any of that is true. I had one person tell me, I even have the medical records from them times. And even after I presented them to an individual, those aren't real, those are forged. Okay, so you can't talk to a group of people everything is fucking delusional to them. If it doesn't come from York, it's not real. It's a setup. They're out to get him, blah, blah, blah. And it's really no simple. He's just a simple sick fuck like every other maniacal pedophile sick fuck that ever, came in history. It's not even really that deep, but they want to turn it into this spiritual quasi spaceship, extraterrestrial fucking, bullshit. So they'll see this, you'll hear it. It'll be all over the internet because I already heard some of them buzzing about it, that it leaked out.
I do heard a lot of kids, man, babies.
Nah, brother, he was set up. See the white man. Get him, brother. It's just like, come on, man. Enough's enough. All you got to do, see, the funny thing is that the people that talk shit, don't have any, documents from the case. They don't even know the history about the case. They don't even know what the habeas corpus is, about that shit. Clearly stating that he's not a diplomat.
When you stepped in about it too, they look at you like you're fucked up, you're crazy just for spitting facts. And their doctrine teaches them to deal with facts only. You're
crazy, but this Negro has been from Sudan. Then he went from being from Sudan to born in Ghana. Then it's Liberia, then born in Ghana. Then he was a fucking Native American chief. Then he was a fucking alien from the planet Risk. Then he's an imam. Then he was a rabbi over a church. Then, the list goes on and on. The dude has fucking obviously got multiple personality disorder, which is obviously in the PSI. If nobody's ever read that, and when I tell them, have you ever read the pre-sentence and investigation? Well, he was thoroughly tested by a psychologist. Oh, see, that's the white man psychologist. See, that's why you can't talk to them, because they always got some conspiracy theory, so you just leave them alone in their fuckery. And like I say, as time goes on, just like everything else, York, like Yahweh Ben Yahweh and everybody else that was a fraud, disappears. That's it. It's that fucking simple. And he'll be out of jail as soon as they got to collect the body for the funeral. And that's it. That's the point blank. So I'm making the prediction. Just like he used to like to prophesize. I'll if anybody wants to bet me, I'll put your money up. If any Nuwapian out there wants to bet me, put your money up. I'll bet you whatever amount of money you want that dude will never see the break of day. Point blank. And you're delusional if you think otherwise. But like I said, they'll see this special. I didn't even watch it yet. I'm gonna check it out if I get some time tonight, if not tomorrow. But they'll be in denial about it. It's a conspiracy and blah blah blah. And they'll make blanket statements with no evidence to support it. And it's funny because they like to say that they're people that deal with the facts, and they never produce any facts when it comes to York's innocence. And to listen to them talk about the case is fucking comical. It's all rehearsed shit that the administration has fed them over the years. That's the fucked up thing. And I know about that, so you can't tell me.
He's a diplomat, brother. Relax. He's a diplomat.
Yeah, he's a diplomat from Zamunda.
No, from Wakanda.
yeah. Matter of fact, what's going to happen is the extraterrestrial crafts from Wakanda are going to come. They're going to scoop him out. Because they got paperwork in Wakanda that he's a diplomat, and they're going to free him.
Word?
Yeah. That's. It's just, this is the shit that I'm saying. It's sad in 2018 that people can even be deceived by that fuckery. And again, that's why I was talking earlier about the man worship shit, wanting to follow somebody. What compels us within our spirits and nature to want to join an organization that takes exclusive control over you mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically? What makes you want to join an organization that tells you when to think, how to think, what to dress, what to eat, what you can and cannot do, and then puts out a bunch of books with all these restrictions and guidelines and rules? There's only one answer to that question: a weak-ass religious person that wants to be told what to do. Because even when you look at the motif of all these fucking cult leaders, they're all the same. They speak to a higher power, whether it's God, Jesus, extraterrestrials, aliens, whatever. And they all have some holy book they bring, or books, right? And in York's case, if it wasn't when he first came on the scene, when he was Islamic and Hebrew, it was the Bible and the Quran, and he was the only one that knew the correct translations, and he was Melchizedek. Then it went from that fuckery to, then it was, in the right knowledge, and he was Anu's son, Marduk, and then he was teaching about the Anunnaki, and of course he was the highest Anunnaki, and then there was a Bible you had to follow called the Holy Tablets, right? That was the new fucking Nuwapian Bible. Then it was the Black Book when he went into Egypt, the sacred records of Atum-Re. Now these religious fools follow some new shit he's been putting out over the last couple of years. Actual facts, I call it actual crap, because it's more religious rhetoric. And all the fucking dude does is use biblical quotes and Quranic quotes and then say we're not religious. And we use these quotes to try to teach. It's just fuckery after fuckery. And they really don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's the fucked up part. They don't really think there's anything wrong. They think he's actually, doing something positive. It's just a cycle of fuckery, man. And why people want to stay in that, I have no clue. Only they can tell you, because they think he's some type of fucking savior. Think about it. A man who sitting in jail for over hundreds of counts of acts of pedophilia. I mean, all you got to do is read the PSI and read all the victims' testimonials. I mean, we can be here all night talking about it. And everything's a setup. None of it is real. They don't think any of it's real. They don't think none of this shit is real. It's all a setup. They don't even want to hear the side of the victims, right? All they believe is because York said it was a setup, it was a setup. All right, well, that's what you choose. I choose to believe the fuck is guilty. Not believe, I know he's guilty. You understand? And that's my right. So if you don't like it, go fuck yourself. I couldn't care. That's all there is to it. All right, what else we got? Oni, what's going on? I've heard stories about Zuli Dantor also being a part of the Haitian Revolution as well. Yes, there are stories that are there. Actually, that book gets into it, the Voodoo Hoodoo book. What else we got? Tony Thornton, thank you for your wisdom. I don't know your name. I thought about Order of Nine Angles, but I heard they were really violent. I wouldn't say the 9 angles are really violent. I've actually, in some of the side work, personal work I'm doing now is with the 6th angle, stasis and death. The 9 angles connect because it's really the whole transition an individual goes through personally on this path. So I wouldn't necessarily, they can be intense. And I know each individual is going to classify their experience a little different. I wouldn't, in my experience, I can only speak from my experience. I didn't really, intense would be a better word. I mean, as I'm talking about them right now, I'm getting getting very warm. I wouldn't really use the word violent because that wasn't my experience. Now, maybe there were others that had that, but they can be very intense. They really are deep introspective if you're really looking intently into yourself on all levels. The 6th angle is probably one of the key because it deals with stasis, stagnation, death. That's one of the aspects. And you gotta apply that. How does that apply to you personally on this path? You understand what I'm saying? Because we all get to a point where we're faced and we're confronted with the reality of everything, good and bad. And that sometimes creates a state of stasis or stagnation. But in that stagnation and death, there's renewal and growth. Sometimes you have to go through those deaths mentally, emotionally, and spiritually to transition or to evolve into a higher state spiritually. So that's what the angles bring about. we actually did a working down here several months ago. I mean, Jack's here, and I know there's other people in the room. I think there's a couple in the room that were there too. We did the whole entire 9-angle work, and we did the ritual. You remember that? Were you there for that, Jack? Because that was the one you didn't come to.
I think that was the one I missed.
What? I don't think you were at that one, were you? Were you at the 9-angle?
That was I think that was January 27th. I think.
Yeah, you weren't at that one. But yeah, so the 9 angles, it can be intense. That's the word I would use to describe it. Okay, what else we got? All right, man, I know you got to go. Yeah, I'll be speaking to your husband and your daughter, Destiny, tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that. We'll build tomorrow. The moon is in Gemini. That's right. Gemini's rule. I'm a Gemini. Gemini's rule. Okay, what else we got? Only types in those organizations are for slave-minded people. I couldn't agree more. It is. It's sad, but that's the reality. All right, we got a couple last quick comments, and we're gonna wrap it up. In Ifa, Chosi is the most mental Orisha. He's in charge of the thicket in front of your brain. Some people's thickets are like a stone. Well, evidence in their face, and they still deny it. Yes, when you receive, that's true, because when you receive your warriors, you're receiving an aspect of Ogun, a Chosi, and a Legwa. All the implements are in your Ogun pot. And one of Ochosi's implements is the bow and arrow, right? And we know what a warrior uses the bow and arrow. There's so many symbolisms with that, connected to that when working with the Chosi. And I found in my years in the Ifa tradition, when I've gone to spiritual gatherings or benbeis with the Orishi, Ochosi people are very interested. And I always seem, for whatever reason, I always like to gravitate towards them and talk with them. Those that were crowned Ochosi, for whatever reason, they just always seemed interesting and fascinating to me. Yeah. So, yeah. So, all right. Other than that, I think that'll wrap it up. What I want to do with this is, as you see here, if moving forward, since we're using this platform, as you see, I bring Brother Jack, and if somebody on the next live feed, if somebody would like to come in and ask a question or elaborate, I can send you a link to come into the room. I'll send it, to your Google Hangouts, and by your Google Hangouts name, and you click the link, and I can bring you in the room. So I want to kind of start doing that, and then we could kind of put faces. We can kind of put faces to names. You know what I mean? We can kind of interact a little bit better. Because in the private classes, this is the format I use. It's not online, obviously, when we do some the private classes. But I figured doing this online, and I'll be having Jack with me pretty much regularly. But I kind of want to, let me see real quick if I could. Let me see if I can get my boy Paulo to stop in real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna send you right now, brother. See if we can get you to come in real quick before we go. You gotta what is your oh yeah, I see it. One sec. It's not showing up. I'm typing it in the way you got it on there. Hold on. Oh, capital P. Hold on. I see what I did wrong. What's your oh, there we go. I was gonna ask you for your email. There you go. I'm gonna send it to your email. It wasn't coming up through. Okay, there it is. Check your email, brother. Should be right in your email, the link. Just click the link and come in. And I'll introduce you to Brother Paulo. Paulo is a brother of mine that was just, when I was talking about the Rosicrucian order, we served the same term together. You remember Paulo when he comes in. Just to verify what I was talking about a couple of weeks ago about credentials, he can verify because he was the guardian. He served as, that would be like the senior warden kind of in like a regular lodge, but I'll wait for him to come in here. I sent him the link and get Brother Paulo up in here. Get a little feedback from him, but I just sent him the link. Jack at that, is part of the same Rosicrucian Lodge that I belong to, and so is Brother Mike Seth Athen. I don't think he's here anymore. They left. He was here earlier, real earlier. Yeah, we'll see if we can bring the brother in. If he clicks the link, I just sent it to him. See if we can get him in. All right. Well, anyway, so that's what I kind of want to start doing, and like moving forward, if you want to come in, just type in the chat room that you want to come in and ask a question, or you want to build or something. We can bring in. I kind of want to start putting some faces to the names, but not only that, it's a different kind of reaction when we kind of do it like this, which is pretty cool.
I think it's unique. I like it. It's unique.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Paulo must got that slow motion computer or some shit. Oh, what he's doing?
Got that 56K, dog. That dial-up fee.
This guy was it computers we used in like high school?
The old IBMs and shit.
Oh, IBM joints. Yeah, hold on, man. It's loading.
It's loading. Yo, hold on. Let me get that floppy, cuz. Give me that floppy.
Get a floppy disk, brother. Remember floppy disk? God damn.
Oh, man.
Shit's come a long way, huh?
Yep.
All right, pal. We ain't gonna wait too much longer there, brother. My apologies. I'm an idiot. I guess you meant to put idiot. We're gonna give you another minute or two, brother.
Yeah, that's cool.
I see you working with that Windows 3. Yeah, brother, just got upgraded. Remember the AOL thing? You got mail.
Yeah. You load up, it's like,
Yo, that dial-up shit used to be crazy, man.
that looks like somebody like yelling, like crying in the background and shit. That shit sounds funny.
All right. I think he having difficulties. Paul, we're going to have to catch you on the next one, man. I was hoping you come in real quick. Man. Yeah, it's getting a little late. I gotta get my ass in the bed. I got shit to do early in the morning. We'll try it on the next go around there, brother. Trying to give you a minute to get in here. It ain't working there, brother. But anyway, hopefully this when we scratch the surface again. There's a lot more we can go into this. I don't want to go in on certain aspects. I'm trying to just get the basics. And whenever that time comes, I'm not saying we won't. We'll probably touch on it a little bit more. And some of yous I will see on Saturday. Brother Jack, give me a call. During the week, we will link up. Tell Jen I said what's up.
Yep.
Tell I said peace, love, and hair grease. And Sunday, man, we're gonna link up Sunday. I changed the park though, but I'll build with you on that.
Okay.
To where to the spot.
What?
Change the park to the other park that we talked about for Sunday. The Parliament, brother.
Okay, for sure. Okay.
Yeah,
for sure.
I changed the park. I already told him, and I'll build with you on that.
Okay, for sure. That'd be like the one by the water, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, man.
All right, cool. Peace. Peace.
Okay, we'll get it eventually.